Hi everybody, it's Carissa McNaught of Needle and Anchor Supply Company. Just gonna fix this really quick. I was having problems setting up my video and getting it the camera where I wanted it to go. So let me just tweak this a little bit. No, I want it right. And I'm gonna check the lighting too. Maybe if I turn off some of this lighting, the picture will come in better. I think I need to get a different stand for my camera. Okay, that looks more precise. So I'm going to get started. There's no one here yet, but that's all right. I can't wait for people to get going, so I'll just get going right now. So when we left off, I'll just recap what I've already done. I've already added the bag feet to the exterior base. I've done the zippered pocket, and I closed it up. I did the welt pocket. That is closed up also. I am doing this, it's the small at 75%. I wanted to see if it sewed up the same and if it looked the same. Here's my bag strap that we'll be doing. Here's my lining bag base. And I cut out 2 new pieces of the grommet accent pieces. And what I did is I added, so I interfaced both sides, and then I cut out some Heat and Bond ultra hold and fused the 2 sides together. But the one that's on the back, I trimmed it a little bit so that it wouldn't poke out. So it's a little bit smaller. So I traced it and then I just cut it a little bit smaller and then fused the 2 together. So it's one whole piece. And I can leave this raw edge. So that's what I'm going to do. So those are my 2 grommet accent pieces. I have my magnetic snap. So what we're going to start with today, or right now, is I'm going to start with the exterior, and then we're going to do the grommet accent pieces because that has to dry before I can top stitch it. So while we're waiting for this to, after sewing one on, waiting for it to dry, then I can do some other stuff. So I'm going to kind of hop around a little bit, but I mean, you could do that too when you follow the pattern and stuff like that. So we're going to go ahead and sew the 2 exterior panels together. With a regular stitch length. I'll move my glue out of the way. Set aside everything I don't need right now. I like to put the stuff in the back and then I can grab it really easy. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to clip these because I want to make sure that these pieces match up. So I'm going to make sure that the bottom band is matched up. So I'm going to do that. And then I will clip from there. And it looks like it's a little off. Maybe my cut was off, or maybe when I added the band, it made made it longer or something. So I can fix that after the fact, and I just want to make sure that my bands are matching up. That's the most important part right now. And it looks like it's only off by like a smidge, so it's not even an eighth of an inch, so I'm not going to really worry about that. And we're only going to sew one side right now, and I'm going to show you why. So I'm going to start with the thick part first. So I need to move my clips the other way. And because I'm sewing it smaller, like this is 75%, I'm using a 1/4 inch of a seam allowance. But normally my seam allowances are 3/8. But I might make it a little bit bigger because I need to still spread it open. So I'm going to go just slightly bigger than 3/8. I mean, 1/4, just so I have enough meat to spread open the bottom. And then I can, oh, I have to put the presser foot down. And I need to put okay. Sorry, I have allergies, so I'm not sick or anything. It's just allergies are really bad this year. And plus, I mean, this is video, so even if I was sick, none of you are going to get it. But I'm not sick. It's just allergies. Okay. So I need to move my trash can over here. Okay, so here we do. Here we go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread this open a little bit. I want to flatten this seam, like the bottom band part. Everything else is fine, but the bottom band, I'm going to top stitch on either side, on both sides of this seam. So I'm going to start at the bottom, come up to the top, pivot, come back over, and then sew back down to the other end to hold this down, and it makes it nice and flat. And then it'll also help when you put the bag base on. And then from there, if I wanted to, I can go in and glue this down, which I'm going to, or double stick tape or something. And that's what I'll do also. But I'm going to work on the bottom part, sewing it. And that will just keep it nice and flat. It'll give you a more polished look. So I kind of have to, where the band meets at the top, it's a little, oh, and I need a different foot because this one will definitely stick to this. So I hope everybody's doing good. Sorry it took me so long to get this up here. Mostly everybody is at work. They're all essential. So my son's home, but he's outside taking in the fresh air. Okay, so I'm going to, you're going to stitch this with a longer stitch length. So basically a top stitch. And I'm just going to make sure that that is completely flat. And it's okay if you backstitch. That's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to come up and I'm going to make sure I get right in my top stitches for the band. Make sure it comes up all the way, like enough that it's catching the bobbin thread. And then you can pivot. And then I'm going to say it's probably about 2 stitches. It depends on your machine. Depends on where you want it to land. Okay, there we go. I took 2.5. I kind of manipulated it there a little bit. Move this little guy out of the way. Actually, looks like I might need that. So I'm going to use it because I don't want it to get a little hiccup. There we go. See, and now I evened out my foot. And here we go. Back down to the end. I'm going to back stitch. And there we go. Nice and flat. Looks beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to go in here on this side, on the wrong side, and I'm going to put a little bit of fabric tack under here. Okay, and it might take a couple minutes. Sometimes it helps if you just let it sit for a second and get a little tacky, and then you can come back over and then press it down. And that's what I'm going to do, but I'm going to grab a ruler. And if you're wondering why a ruler, okay, so I find that this works if I need to flatten things. You can't have your hand in the whole place, like in every place all at once. So what I do is I put a ruler on it, and then I put pressure on that ruler. And there you go. And sometimes I'll go and grab, something heavy, like I have candles in here. So I'll just put my candles on top of it and then hold it down for a little bit. But that's what I do. I just need it to hold a little bit. So I'm going to see if there's any questions. Looks like people are asking where on my Facebook group where the video is. So I need to, I guess, put it on that post. Okay, so let's see. One person is here. One person. And it says unable to connect to chat. Okay, well, it looks like no one is saying anything. Can everybody hear me? There's only one person here, so. Okay, so there's that. Now I'm going to flip this over. And now I'm going to add my grommet accent piece. So I want to make sure that I have it down far enough for my seam allowance. And it doesn't look like my seam is straight up at the top. And so I'm going to, I'll trim that in a little bit, but I'm going to make sure that I'm putting it down far enough on the one side. And then I just want to center this, and I'm eyeballing it, so it'll be fine. Going to right there. So what helps is I like to do 1/2. It's not going to work. I need something heavier. So I like to do 1/2 at a time. So I have that to weigh down. I got to make sure I don't go too far over because I've done that before. Okay, so all right, one side's down. Then I'm going to do the other side. And this one, I'm going to make sure I'm putting the glue on the grommet piece. That way I know I'm not going out of the boundaries kind of where it needs to go. All right. And now I'm going to set this on there, put a little bit of pressure, squish it out a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to let this dry. I'm actually going to go put this I can put this out of my way. That's what I'll do. And then we will sew the lining. I'm going to do the lining part right now. Or I could do the strap if I wanted. I'm going to go ahead and do the lining. So I'm going to match these two up. Now you have to think about your materials when you leave a turning hole. So I'm going to leave a turning hole on one side. And I'm going to think about the materials that I used and how it's going to fit through that hole. You could do it through a pocket, but the pockets are pretty small too. So I'm going to leave one side, like a gap open. And what I'm going to do is I'll leave this side open, but I'm also going to base stitch here. So I'm going to sew back stitch with a regular stitch length, and then I'm going to baste in the middle, and then I can go and press that open, and then I can rip out my stitches in between the two regular stitch lengths, and then it'll be pressed open. It'll be easier to sew that hole open. So I'm going to do that. And actually, I'm going to do what I normally do. I'm going to sew. I'll show you. I need my regular press foot. I'm going to do a 90. And you guys are going to see how this looks. Okay, so I want to do my 1/4 inch up at the top. You definitely want to keep it the same seam allowance at the top as it is on the exterior, on the lining as the exterior. So the 1st inch needs to be the same seam allowance, if that makes sense. I'm going to back stitch here. I'm going to go right about here, and then I'm going to pivot and then go off the side of this back stitch. Might seem a little confusing, but it'll make sense in just a second. And then I'm going to start this way. I feel like nobody is watching. There's only 2 people, and I think I'm one of them. Can somebody say hi? I feel like I'm having issues. Nobody can say hi. It says unable to connect to chat. Please try again later. Well, what the heck? We're going to see. Can somebody say hi? Okay. That's really, I don't know if it's just YouTube or what lately. This is really kind of annoying. So I'm going to see if anybody is trying to see my video. I'm wondering if people just can't see me. I don't know what's going on. So I gotta. I'm sorry about this. Well, crap.